Hey, everybody. How are you doing? If you're new here or if you're watching on YouTube and you're new here, because this is facilitated live on Zoom if you're here on Zoom, but this is going to be on YouTube. I'm Brandon. I facilitate channeling and energy healing and so much more. And you can find all that on my website, which will be linked down below. However, you're here for the energy healing session. So good to see you, everyone here that I've seen before as well. Today, I was gonna see what theme they'd like to give because they did give me some stuff ahead of time. However, they're saying they wouldn't like to give me a theme right now. They'd like to just get into the session and then they'll kind of talk about what they're going to talk about. My spirit guides, angels, and source, by the way, because I facilitate this. Well, I'll tell you as we get going here. So, by the way, before we get into this, hey Dahlia, you're saying greetings. If you like this energy healing session, if this does a lot for you, I do have a lot more in the Let's Go Higher membership, which is my monthly membership, as well as in my online store. So, and of course, we'll be facilitating, as of right now, I'll be facilitating monthly lives every month. So you can sign up for my newsletter to get the Zoom links in your email to join these live if you'd like to join them live. Okay, so I'm going to start because they're saying, let's start. So give me just a second to set some intentions and then we'll get going with the energy healing here. So give me 1 second. So we're just starting with Reiki for now. I'm going to tell you this just because there might be some new people watching this. I'm going to be likely working with a few things. One, access consciousness, which is not a modality I channeled through. However, it's a modality I work with. So we'll be running some verbal clearings that you'll notice energetic shifts with. If you're energetically sensitive and aware, you will at least. Uh, and some tools from that modality. So I'll talk about that, like the clearing statement, a little bit as we get going. I'm going to be working with the source fires and Valeyu as well, which that is a modality I channeled through and received from source, from my higher guides and the angels, and I'll be letting you know a bit about what I'm doing as I switch between different energies. And if you're energetically aware, you'll pick up on when I'm switching energies and running different things anyways. So I'm just going to be divinely guided and intuitively guided through this session. So literally I just show up and I do what I am divinely guided to do and follow my intuition with this for like however long we're here, an hour probably. And then, I say what I'm divinely guided to say. So I'm pretty much channeling this whole thing, including the access consciousness clearings and tools I work with, including what I facilitate with the energy healing. So just so you know a bit about just a tidbit about how I facilitate these, okay? Because it goes beyond anything I can put into words, really. That's an energy often does. So just right now, we're running Reiki. So our main target with this right now is getting to lightness. So facilitating you guys getting to lightness in your world, you getting lighter, your energy is getting lighter, your and it's already getting lighter as I just say that, which is cool how it works. What's the best way to say this? It's cool how you just make an ask and it just happens, or maybe you click on a video that says get to lightness, which maybe that will be like a title, or maybe it won't for this. We'll see what I'm guided to put as a title. And it just kind of happens, there's like intentionality behind like the things we buy usually, the things we click on, of course, the things we write down to ask the universe for and things like that. And for some reason, I'm going to tell you this story while the energies are running, where one time I bought a channeled product. I think it It was by like a channeler that I listened to, Lee Harris, and I still have to this day not listened to to the product. Okay. However, I bought this product, and the thing I was looking to get out of the product, I mean, I was guided to get it. It was light to get it. You know, my guide said to buy it, all that. The thing I was looking to get out of it showed up the next day without me ever having to listen to it. It was really funny. And I didn't really specifically have like a super specific aim in mind, though like I had the general direction. And like so sometimes it's just like you just gotta like sometimes you gotta do the work. Okay. Sometimes you have to put the work in, and sometimes you just got to make the ask, or sometimes maybe it's both. And I'd rather not limit you or put anything on you or your reality as far as the infinite possibilities of what can show up for you with ease. Okay. What if it's possible for us to just ask and it shows up, or we just buy a course and we don't even have to go through it and it just shows up because of that intentionality piece, or because we told the universe we're going this direction, or we made our ask through buying this thing or whatever. So trust your intuition with it, because you may get like buy this thing and go through it, or you, I'd rather not take away whatever you'd gain from going through the thing, as well. I'm just putting that out there to you because there's intentionality with you clicking on this. If the title ends up being like "Get to Lightness" or something like that, then like you clicking on this is like you're telling the universe like, hey, I'd like this. And so like what if that's half the battle? Not that there's a battle. Talking about. What if that's half the battle sometimes is like, what are we putting out there? What are we asking for? Have we even asked? Um, the reason I'm getting to talk about all this, the reason I'm hearing to talk about all this is some of you guys go through life and you don't even ask for anything, and you wonder why it's like not changing. And it reminds me of it's a book, Right Riches for You by Dr. Dane Heer and Gary Douglas, which is an Access Consciousness book. And they talk about that book's about money. A lot of it is about money. Okay. And I mean, it's about other things in a sense, and also it's focused around the topic of money in general. And they talk about how there will be people who go to them and they're like, I'm doing all these different things, and I'm doing this and I'm doing this and I'm doing all the right things, and the money's not happening. And then they'll be like, well, have you asked for it? And then the person who came to them will be like, what? They're like, did you ask for the money? And I'm just running Reiki still and channeling right now. It's what we're doing. Now we'll switch to the four angelic fires and all that in a second if I'm guided to. I run Valeyu cross symbols and stuff in a second if you're familiar, or you will be after this. And so what are you not asking for that you could be asking for that would get you what you'd like to have? Everything that doesn't allow that to show up. I'm going to run the access consciousness clearing statement. So everything that doesn't allow you to ask for what you'd like and receive it, and anywhere you're not asking for what you'd like because you think it's wrong, and where you believe it's wrong, to ask for what you'd like to have, even if it's money, will you rescind, revoke, recant, reclaim, renounce, denounce, destroy, and uncreate it, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 100 shorts, boys, poets, gracious bases, and beyond. So that was the Access Consciousness clearing statement: the destroy and uncreate, right, wrong, good, bad, pot and pock, all 100 shorts, boys, poets, gracious bases, and beyond. So if you go to the clearingstatement.com, the Access Consciousness people describe that for you. So I'm not going to overly explain it. However, it energetically like hits the delete button on all the limited crap and all the bullshit. And then what's infinite and unlimited and lighter can show up instead. So it's a great thing to have in your toolkit or arsenal if you're called to it. And I'm going to be probably running it a certain amount here, potentially a lot, depending on what I'm guided to do. So, and then the rescind, revoke, recant, reclaim, renounce, denounce part, that's like an extra thing that they do that I am guided to do more than I would think I would be for running it. Okay. So all that to say, some of you are not asking for what you could be asking for, and everything would show up for you. Interestingly enough, so anything that pings for you, maybe just ask for it right now. If you're watching the replay, pause the video and ask for it right now, or if it's light for you to do so. Because again, I've talked about this. You can perceive the energy of what it will be like when your ask shows up, when you ask for it. And if it does not feel light, when you're like, I'd like to date this specific person, then maybe consider asking for something else that is lighter to you. Uh, and that will give you more of the life you'd like to live. I'll tell you about it too. Sorry, I'm rolling my eyes because I feel like I say this a lot, but I'm getting to talk about it. Is like that's kind of another thing you can do is like get the energy of the life you'd like to live. And then anytime you go to choose something, anytime you go to ask for something, anytime you get an opportunity show up, you can check like, okay, what will my life be like? I'm borrowing from Access with this. What will my life be like in 5 years if I choose this? If it matches the energy of the life you'd like your life to, sorry, the energy of what you'd like your life to be, then you can choose it and know it will create the life you'd like to live. And if it doesn't, then you know it's going to create something that's not the same as the life you'd like to live. Right. And so then you can start to have actions you take that are congruent. Sorry, I'm getting ahead. So what's the best thing for me to say here? Then you can start to choose things that are congruent with your ask. Okay. And you can start to live in congruency with your ask instead of flip-flopping around like most people and like choosing whatever and then wondering why things aren't working. Okay. And it's yeah, I know some people get mad or upset when I say that, blah blah blah. Pock and pot everything that brought up. And then yes, I perceive you guys. So if you get mad, I perceive it, and it's just I'm not going to let that derail what I'm facilitating or saying because just because someone reacts to what you're saying doesn't mean what you said was wrong or untrue. It just means they reacted to it, you know. So everything that brought up, Puck and Pod. And how many of you believe that if people react a certain way to you or your choices or what you say, you did something wrong when maybe it's entirely their stories and there's something pinging to talk about that I don't have all the words for. It just all showed up at once energetically. So give me a second to figure out a way to talk, or not figure out, receive the highest and best way and channel through the highest and best way for me to talk about this. Um, So anywhere you believe that just because someone reacts in a negative way means you did something wrong, so you won't choose your best life because people will judge it or people are jealous or envious, will you rescind, revoke, recant, reclaim, renounce, denounce, destroy, no, create it, please? And you can just say yes if you'd like to. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 100 shorts, boys, poets, creations, bases, and beyond. So to get to the meat and the potatoes and the core of what they're trying to get to with this here is what is it? Sometimes you think you need people to react a certain way to know you're going the right way, but you don't. What I'm getting, need is an interesting word, but the way I'm hearing it, it's like what you need to do, or what would probably be lighter for you to do, is trust your intuition regardless of how anyone reacts. Because if you think of someone who's narcissistic, okay, I'm going to switch to the four angelic fires instead of Reiki. So, four angelic fires, please run for the highest good. Oof, and four angelic fires, it's potent. So, give me 1 second. Eh. And I make faces because I'm perceiving the energy is working, and woo, that's clearing a lot. So give me a second. Lordy Lord. So the energy shift you just perceived is the four angelic fires running, okay? And I'm also bringing through the light blue angelic fire of Archangel Metatron. That's from the source fires in Valeyu. That's a modality I channeled through and received, by the way, just as a reminder. And what we're doing with that right now is removing anything in the way of you getting to lightness in your world, in your living in life, you. And one of the best ways to get to lightness, by the way, is to remove lies. Maybe that's not totally it. Getting to what's true for you. Because when you get to what's true for you, things get lighter. Like I'm borrowing from Access Consciousness with this. Okay. And maybe for the premise of the session a little bit, though this is what I heard to facilitate. So it is what I'm being divinely guided and intuitively guided to do. What's true for you makes you lighter. What's a lie? We'll get to what I was about to talk about in a second. What's true for you makes you lighter. What's a lie makes you heavier. And usually what makes us heavier are lies or things that are not ours or realities that aren't ours. And yes, some of the realities you are living for most of you are not yours. So, like anything heavy, anything that's not working for you. Okay. Like money, okay, for example, if any of you are, not all of you are struggling with money, but some of A good number of you are, is what I'm hearing in some way, shape, or form, even if it's just like you don't like money, or maybe you have enough of it, but you don't like certain things. And it's like, whose reality is that you're living, or whose reality did you plagiarize regarding that, or whose reality did you take on or buy regarding that? And it could be like you bought a belief that money is hard, or the belief that money is the root of all evil, which aren't true. So anywhere you're doing someone else's reality besides your true reality, it's actually true for you as a being and a soul, which is actually what's light for you. And by doing or choosing someone else's reality, you're doing or choosing things that aren't working for you or that are heavier for you. And all the heaviness that creates. And anywhere that's sticking you, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 100 shorts, boys, poets, creations, bases, and beyonds. I'm going to run it again just to go deeper, and they might change it up a little bit. We'll see. Uh, Anywhere you're doing someone else's reality besides your own, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Anywhere you're doing someone else's reality besides your true reality, that's true for you as a being, destroy and uncreate, right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 100 choice points, poets, creations, bases, and beyond. So one more time. Anywhere you're doing someone else's reality besides your own, will you please destroy and uncreate it, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 100 choice boys, poets, creations, bases, and beyonds. Whoa. Okay. Okay, we need to change it up here. Let's go. Let's start talking about what I was talking about earlier. So people not reacting to you in a certain way. So let's say you're shining one day, or hold on, they're redirecting me a little bit. Let's say you're doing really well with something, okay? Like you're shining, you're in your element, you're really doing well with something, whatever, and like someone doesn't like it. Like, because there are narcissistic type people out there, people with a lot of narcissistic tendencies who will try to control other people and limit others for their own ego, to appease their own wounds, really. It comes from a very wounded place typically. And they're not going to react in the ways you'd like them to react, kind of no matter what you do. Okay. Unless you're specifically 10 steps ahead and like intuitively running circles around them, and like who they are, what they're about, what they're choosing, and you're probably not even getting involved with them, honestly. uh you're kind of in a losing battle if you need people to react a certain way. For some reason, what's coming through today is like, especially like narcissistic leaning people, or people with a lot of narcissistic tendencies, because you're going to start doing really well and they're going to try to get you out of that potentially, or like if they think they can, or they're going to try to shoot you down or knock you down a few pegs or whatever they would say, because they think that's their role, or because you're brushing up against their wounds, yada yada. There's a lot that could go on here. So here's an interesting clearing. This may or may not apply to all of you. Anywhere you're appeasing narcissistic people with what you are choosing to your detriment, and you think you're doing a good thing because you're making other people not feel bad or something like that, and you're doing someone else's reality by doing so, will you rescind, revoke, recant, reclaim, renounce, denounce, destroy, and uncreate it times a godzillion, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 100, shorts, boys, poets, creations, species, and beyonds. And one more time, anywhere you're doing someone else's reality besides your own, will you destroy and upgrade it, please, times a godzillion? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 100 choice boys, poets, creations, species, and beyonds. So notice how much lighter it's getting. For most of you, you'll perceive that. For like 90% of you here. For the rest of you, you're not sure what's going on. Just hang in there. If you're here for a reason. So I'm going to bring in the Yellow Master Fire of Thor from the Source Fires modality to boost this session now, and boost the road to lightness is what they're showing. Ooh, hey, how are we doing today? Thank you. So appreciate, how's it getting better than this? So what we're doing right now is like something akin to paving the path to lightness. Excuse me, what I'm getting is for your road ahead. And you might perceive some really weird stuff shifting or happening energetically as this goes on, because it's really breaking down the structures of your old reality, I guess, the limited-ish. So Puck and Pottle limited-ish. uh Breaking down the structures that don't belong, that don't serve your highest good, that aren't working for you, and just paving the road to a lighter life. And you'll notice this actualizing like days, weeks, and in the months ahead. It's not just a today thing, though it might show up right away or right now, or, I'm not going to limit it. You're going to notice the session working over the days, weeks, and months ahead, is what I'm hearing. So try not to limit it or like, you know, the way I'm hearing is I try not to go like, oh, my whole life didn't change tomorrow. This sucked. Like, talk and pot all that. And it might, I'm not going to limit it. That'd be cool. Uh, like keep an eye out for the change over the next few months, or like re-listen to this even if you're like you'd like more of the signal boost to lightness is what I'm hearing. Because it's like really what's being transmitted energetically, you channeled wise, in addition to the energy healing session, is like everything you require for lightness is what I'm hearing. Because I'm channeling this whole thing in addition to like facilitating the energy healing session. So this works on multiple levels. There's like the words I'm channeling through, there's the clearings I'm being guided to run, there's the intuitive information coming through, there's the source fires and Valeyu car running, there's the Reiki. I already said access clearings. There's the energetic transmission from the channeling. Okay. There's the energy I am holding for this. There's the energy I am being for this. Okay. There's source working through me for this. So there's a lot going on. And any of you who think I'm on an ego trip by saying that, that's an interesting point of view. Actually, that was what I was guided to say, if you'll check in intuitively. Okay. Um, it's so funny picking up on you guys while I facilitate this. Because a lot of you just have such different places. Well, what's the best way to say this? Some of you have very different places you come from for this, and that's okay. It's not wrong. It's just where you're at. And that's not me speaking down to you. That's just, it is what it is. Everything all that brought up, Puck and Pod. And any of you who think I can't perceive you, I really can. Okay. So, and everything that brought up, Puck and Pod. So I'm gonna bring in what's highest and best next. I'm gonna ask for the white angelic fire of Archangel Uriel to flow specifically to, that's from the source fires, of course, to kind of clean up a little bit and just kind of get rid of some of the lower, denser stuff that showed up or transmuted for the highest good. Ooh. And just also to lighten up the path even more. The white angelic fire of Archangel Uriel has to do with God's light and source's light, divine light, I guess. It's also a fire you can work with to bring about enlightenment, is what I'm hearing to say. I mean, that is what came through when I channeled this energy through as well. And it also works to, it does a lot, okay? It also works to increase like psychic abilities with the universe, and potentially channeling and intuition, brings clarity as well. There's a lot that goes on with it. Then, of course, like with the fires, like they're all clearing, they're all healing. Uh, Sometimes they can, overlap with each other, or maybe there's a few things or maybe a lot of things they overlap with each other regarding, at least a few. And they all work for the highest good, though. Next thing I'm getting to talk about here is like, what is your next level? This has been coming through a lot recently, and I'm okay with that. For any of you who've heard me say that like 3 or 4 times by now across different sessions, be patient with me for a second here. Because this is helping you go further. It's contributing to you going further into it each time. Okay. And it's like unlocking another like level or layer of it, helping you go further into it, contributing to you going further into it. Okay. So go ahead and like while you're here, just get the energy of your next level. And that could be in every area. So next level regarding money, next level regarding channeling, next level regarding gifts, next level regarding abundance, next level regarding love life, next level regarding career, whatever. Just like all of it. Like, what's the energy of your next level? Just ask source for the energy of your next level. Get the energy of your next level. And just like steep in that for a moment. And I'm going to ask the four angelic fires to flow to boost that and contribute to you getting there sooner and with, okay. And while you're here, ask for ease with getting to your next level. Because you can ask for ease with everything. You know, like that thing we talked about like, did you ask for it earlier? Like, you can ask for ease with everything. It's like a cheat code. And like, some people don't think things can be easy and they assume it can't and they shoot themselves in the foot because it can. Okay. Not trying to call any of you out. Actually, you know what? It might be beneficial if I called some of you out regarding things more. um, anyways, and I know some of you don't want me to call you out, but it's going to help you if I do in certain ways. Don't worry though, I'm going to follow my intuition and divine guidance. I want to say with that. So, uh, and you know, what's for that? It's good for me to say here. Not sure why I'm getting to say this. Regarding your deepest, darkest secrets, there are people who are intuitive and channel and know everything to the degree where they can just know that. So what if you're not actually hiding anything, you know? Or what if by hiding your deepest, darkest secrets from you even, which might even not even be that deep and dark, you know, right? We say deep and dark secrets, it could just be something that's like not a big deal. Like I can't tell you how many times I've like talked to someone, and I'm not going to unveil anyone's stuff right now. Well, hold on. Pocket and pod that. Because I might need to channel through something for you for this that I'm not really telling people directly your specific things, but I'm talking to you regarding your deepest, you know what I'm saying? So I'd rather not cut that off at all or cut my awareness off for anyone's comfort because that's limiting. Um, and most people who, never mind, let's get back to what I was talking about here. Uh, People would talk about Crystal says, getting called out defo kicks me in the butt in the most powerful transformative ways energetically. Exactly. And that is more my aim with it is to facilitate what's for thy good. Because it's like, yeah, sometimes it's uncomfortable, or sometimes we didn't desire to be called out. And it's also like, what if that's the thing that's going to set you free and like move you in the best directions and change your life the fastest instead of you going through the same crap for 5 years or shit for 5 years? Because you wouldn't look at this thing or know, you know, and then it's like, yeah. And if you don't judge it, it can actually be totally easeful if you're like, wow, I just got called out. Interesting. Okay. Okay, yeah, there's truth to that. That's true. Interesting. That's true for me. Okay, I guess we'll look at changing that or everything that is Pock and Pod. What's it going to take to change that with ease, universe? How's it getting better than that? You know, what else is possible? And those questions, some of those are just borrowed from Access Consciousness, which what else is possible? It's like when anything shows up, what else is possible, universe? And the universe will manifest and actualize what else is possible, like something greater. How does it get any better than this? Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing that happens, the universe will manifest and actualize it getting better. It shows you how it gets better. And then you can just keep asking it and it keeps compounding and getting better. So thank you, Dahlia and Alyssa. Yeah. So anyways, there have been a lot of people who've told me sorry, I was trying to go to something I was talking about and I'm being redirected. So, how many of your deepest, darkest secrets aren't even that deep, dark, or scary, but you've bought that they are, so you won't look at them, but they're really not as bad as you think? And, okay, anywhere you won't look at your deep, dark secrets and what you're hiding from yourself, which means you can't change it, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 100 choice, boys, poets, gracious bases and beyonds that had more energy on it. Okay. Hitting on something here. So here's the next one I'm getting to run. Anywhere you're hiding your deep, dark secrets from yourself, but that's the thing that's keeping you from like the life and living you'd like to have. And that's the thing that's sticking you. And that's the thing that's not allowing things to change or contributing to that. Will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, 100 short points, poetry, creation, pieces, and beyond. I need to re-say that. So 1 second here. Anything not allowing you to perceive, know, be, and receive your deepest, darkest secrets and know how to change them with ease, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 100 choice, boys, poetry, creation, basis, and beyond. So we're going to change it up now. So a lot of people have told me their deepest, darkest secrets, and they're not that deep and dark. Okay. Like they'll like tell me this thing and be like, I haven't told anyone about this. And then like 2 minutes later, they'd be like, I guess it wasn't as big of a deal as it was in my head before I said it. And if it's linked in with like a trauma or with like a PTSD or other people have mistreated them in the past or like abused them in the past regarding that information or regarding that, like I get it in some sense, or sometimes we have these stories that we play up in our heads or energy fields or belief systems about this stuff. And like we make these things way more of a big deal than they are regarding deep, dark secrets we're keeping from ourselves, even, or like, uh, this is the weirdest process I've heard yet. Maybe not. All the Mobius strips holding in place the PTSD that won't allow you to heal yourself with ease and won't allow you to unveil your deep, dark secrets to yourself so you can change your life into what you'd like it to be. Will you please revoke, recant, reclaim, renounce, rescind, denounce, destroy, and uncreate it, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 100 choice voice, poets, creations, bases, and beyonds. Wow. All the Mobius strips holding in place the PTSD that won't allow you to change your life for the greater and change your life in the ways you'd like and choose a greater non-reality that's true for you, which is, we'll talk about that in a second. Will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 100 choice, boys, poets, creatures, bases, and beyond. So like a non-reality is more like your true reality because it's not, if you think of like, I know this won't like jibe with all your belief systems probably at this moment, or maybe it will. Um, though it's kind of like reality is like it's like you align and agree with someone, okay? Where it's just like the one that's popping up to talk about. I heard someone talking about this, so I think I'll just roll with this example. It's just the only one popping up. It's like if you're like talking to someone and you're like, "Wow, Christmas is a difficult time period," and then the other person's like, "Yeah, I know it is," or like vice versa, and then like you agree with that, then you just created a reality of Christmas being difficult. Okay, so non-realities tend to be more like joy, ease, abundance. You're living your true reality. Everything's working out for you effortlessly. And some of you are going like, "Wow, that's impossible." No, it's not. That's the reality is the thing that says it's impossible, So all the realities you bought that say ease, joy, glory, everything working out for you all the time, everything being effortless, you having your true reality is impossible. And everywhere you aligned and agreed with it, and everything you aligned and agreed with and resisted and reacted to that allows those limited realities and beliefs and points of view and fixed points of view to exist where you won't allow your true reality. Holy heck, will you please revoke, rescind, reclaim, renounce, denounce, destroy, and uncreate, please. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 100 short sports, poetry, spaces, and beyond. I apologize, I got out of order with like the rescind, revoke, recant, reclaim, renounce, denounce, destroy, and uncreate. And if I'm whatever, it's gonna work regardless. I'm asking that it works regardless, and everything that doesn't allow that pocket pot. There you go. So stop limiting it. Anywhere you're limiting this, pock and pod. Anywhere I'm allowing you to limit this, pock and pod. Ow. There we go. So all this to say here, some of you have no idea what's going on. You feel lighter, and you know what? That's it's working. Okay, if you feel lighter and greater energetically regarding all this, then it doesn't matter if you have any idea what's going on right now. Um, so anywhere you bought a reality that's not your non-reality, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 100 choice, boys, poets, graces, bases, and beyonds. Some of you are fighting against it. Some of you are holding on to your reality and defending it like it's right. You're like, the suffering is right. The suffering is correct. And I need this to prove my grandma was correct. And I need this to prove this other person wrong for wronging me. And if I'm not suffering, then I can't make them wrong. All that is, everything that is, ever that pinged anything for you as far as something you're doing, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Or anywhere you're doing something like that, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Rather, right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all on yours, points, poets, cases, bases, and beyonds. Some of you are defending your reality and you don't even understand why. And that's all the training of what's this here? What's going on here? Should I run this out loud? What's up here? Anywhere any of you are directing havoc at me because you don't like what I'm saying, pock and pod. Return to center. Not in a way where I'm attacking you, by the way. Just you doing that probably is not even yours. Like if if you're like sitting there like, is that even yours or is that someone else's? So we're actually returning the whole like thing, underwriting that to sender. So, and it's not like we're attacking them. It's like giving it back to them in a way where it's like, oh, it's theirs. They can deal with it and change it. So it's not an attack. It's just like getting, someone, what's the best way to say this here? Here's what I'm going to say here. Here's what I'm getting to say here. When you return to sender in this context with what I was doing, you're not like attacking someone with their stuff. You're taking something and giving back to like where it originated and like not in a way it's attacking them. They can deal with it in an easier way because instead of it being like strung out across like however many people who like bought it as theirs when it wasn't or whatever, it goes back to the sender originator and then they're like, oh, here it is, and then they can deal with it. Okay. So because it's like if it's not yours, it's not really yours to change or like fix or heal. So you could just return it to sender if you know something's not yours. So I'm borrowing from Access from this a little bit, though I've been playing with this a lot recently and it really works. For me, it worked. Where it's just like, okay, is this mine or someone else's? And that's an energy, a thoughts, a feeling, a pattern, a reality, a money situation. Like it goes really in really interesting places, honestly. Um, a belief, like, is this mine or someone else's? If it's someone else's, if you ask that question and it gets lighter, or your spirit guides say, oh yeah, it's light, it's someone else's, or your intuition tells you it's someone else's, just return to sender. Um, and they're telling me to tell you this because some people do that and like they do it once and it doesn't seem to kind of do it, so they don't really do it. So an updated process you could try for that is like, okay, return to sender, everything not that doesn't allow that, everything that doesn't allow it to be returned to sender, pock and pod. So run the clearing statement from Access. And then you can add something else to that, which is like, okay, what can I be that would melt this thing I just returned to sender so I'm never at the effect of it again? What can I be that would melt this so I'm not uh okay, let's get an example that would work for you guys here so you can kind of maybe I can facilitate this here. So any money issues you have that aren't yours. So anything that pings for you, ask, or beliefs around money or happiness around money, is it mine or someone else's? Go ahead and ask that. So all the money situations that are not yours, all the money issues that are not yours and problems that are not yours, will you please destroy and uncreate everywhere you bought them as yours and destroy and uncreate everything you created and uncreated based on those things being yours when they weren't, and return them to sender, please. You could just say yes. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock. Oh, 100 choice, boys, poets, graces, bases, and beyonds. Wow. So everything, what can you be that would melt that so you're never at the effect of it again? Everything that doesn't allow that to show up, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 100 shorts, boys, poets, creations, bases, and beyond. So that's more along the lines of the process I'm trying to talk about. So return to sender, everything it doesn't allow it to return to sender, pock and pod. What can I be that would melt that so I'm never at the effect of it again? Everything it doesn't allow that to show up, pock and pod. And you might just perceive it working even though I'm just saying it, as I'm just saying it without directing it particularly, because it can work that way too. It works that way too. Pock and pod, what did that just do? Some of you don't believe me. That's fine. Play with it on your own. See what's true for you. blah, blah, blah. Follow your intuition. It's up for you, up to you to choose. So I'm talking to that, I'm talking to you guys about that because that updated version worked for me and they told me to tell you about it. And I'm calling it an updated version because that's the words they gave me to say. Something about like pock and potting anything not allowing it to return to sender, and then like what can I be that would melt this so I'm never at the effect of it again? Everything that doesn't allow that pock and pod, it adds something to it that really makes it work, I guess. So you can play with that if you were like playing with return to sender and you're like, man, and you might just find the regular mine or someone else's return to sender works as well. So that's what I was trying to do when I was picking up on that thing. Okay, I wasn't trying to throw negative-ish at anyone. So next question, next thing we're going to here. I'm going to ask the Gray Master Fire of Ganesha to flow for the highest good. I'm going to ask the Teal Master Fire of Krishna to run, which has to do with shifting beliefs, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly. I channel all this stuff through, and then the memory is the whatever. What will it take for me to have a great memory, even regarding things I channel? Should it be in the highest good? And if I, whatever's for the highest good, universe, whatever's highest and best for the highest good. So Great Master Fire of Ganesha, it's kind of like, it actually has to do with like prosperity, has to do with abundance, has to do with like kind of removing obstacles or alleged obstacles, or removing the reality that there are obstacles. Because how many, sometimes people create obstacles for themselves, and that might sound obvious, though, what's the best way to talk about this? Sometimes people's like beliefs create obstacles for themselves. Like they believe something has to be difficult. They believe it's them against the world. They believe it. Ooh, that brought something up here. Everywhere you believe it's you against the world, and it causes things to show up that makes it actually seem like it's you against the world when that's not even your true reality. Will you destroy and uncreate it, please? And if it's not yours, return it to sender with consciousness attached. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock. Oh, 100 shorts, boys, poets, graces, bases, and beyonds. I just talked about this in another live, I think. It's from the book Spiritual Growth, I think, by Sanaya Roman. And I flipped open I haven't read the whole book cover to cover, you know. I flipped it open and just read what I was guided to read, usually. I did my best with that. And anyways, one of the things I flipped it open to is like sometimes people have like, you know, it's like, okay, what's probably going to be more true for you is that the universe is always working with you. The universe is always working for you. Some people believe it's like, oh, the universe is against me, but that belief and point of view creates that showing up in their reality essentially, because you create your reality and your point of view creates your reality and your beliefs create your reality. And so all of a sudden they think it's like, oh, the universe hates me. Oh, the world's against me. Oh, everything's hard. But it's like their point of view that's creating that. So anywhere you believe the universe is against you, anywhere you believe the universe isn't working with you, the universe isn't working for you, anywhere you believe it's you against the world, and anywhere you bought that from someone else and it's not even yours, but you bought it as yours. Will you destroy and uncreate it, please? And any of us that's not any of that that is not yours, please return to sender with consciousness attached. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all not choice boys, povich creatures, bases and beyonds. I think some of you were fighting me on that one. Like, no, I need the obstacles to prove I'm powerful. Because if I overcome obstacles, then I prove I'm powerful and I prove I'm important. Because the pocket pod, everything that brought up, pocket pod. Um, Anywhere you believe you need difficulty to prove you are valuable, to prove what you're doing is important, to prove you're strong and powerful, will you destroy it, uncreate it, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 100 yours, boys, poets, creatures, bases, and beyonds. Because when you're trying to prove something, there's usually a lie involved. Okay, like or it can be a bit more than that too. There can be some other things mixed in, but there's usually a lie involved. Um, Here's an example, okay? Uh, don't laugh, but I'm feeling a lot of energy move through yawns and burps. Oh, Tina says same. Yeah, no, don't worry. That's just the clearings and the energy moving and it's just working. So that's awesome. I appreciate you letting me know. And I appreciate you saying it here because someone else might be having the same thing and they're like, well, can't tell anyone about this. But it's like, okay, that's what's going on. They're clearing, there's energy movement. So, what's next here? Oh, yeah, proving. So when you're trying to prove something, what are you actually doing? You're welcome, Madalena. You know, there was a channeled quote that came through from my spirit team with like a full Tana mode session or a couple of them recently, I think, where it was like, if you're proving you're losing. And I realize like winning, losing is not really real in a sense. They said it that way to kind of get the point across, where it's like, the example I'm getting to tell you about, I'm almost hesitant to tell you while I'm facilitating an energy healing session, though this is what I'm getting to talk about, so I will. So I'm going to ask that when I'm talking about this, I do not do this. In the past, this is when I was like first getting into Reiki, okay, and like first facilitating like Reiki sessions and stuff. And you know what? It's possible it wasn't even mine. I was picking up on the person I was facilitating the session for or other people. That's another story. I could talk about that too, where like I'd facilitate Reiki and then I'd be like, we something would come up as an issue. And this would be like one of the first few I was facilitating on other people, by the way. And I'd be like, I'd have this thing where I'd like, oh, I have to prove I can do this and prove energy healing works and prove Reiki works almost like at all costs. Maybe not at all costs, but when you get to an all cost point, sometimes that's kind of a dangerous place to be. Even like with this work, because at that point, you're not really an allowance of like, well, what's for the highest good of this person? What's for the highest good of this session? What would source like to do through this session? What's actually going to contribute the most? You're in the zone where like you have to prove XYZ for your own personal agenda or whatever. Or maybe it's not even yours. Maybe it's like a belief you bought from someone else. And so everything that brought up, pocket pod, pocket pod, pocket pod. And it's like, so it kind of takes you out of this place of like awareness and knowing and going with your intuition and into this place of like you're really vested in an outcome, you're really attached to an outcome. You're like, oh, it has to go this way to prove XYZ. And sometimes this really works not in our favor because we're trying to prove like maybe we're trying to prove like our dad's reality was right to appease our dad because he would do really mean things to us when we were a kid if we went against his beliefs or so. Like there's it can get or it can be way different than this, or like we're trying to make our dad not feel bad because he struggled with this, so we're trying to prove him right by creating the same struggle for us so he doesn't feel wrong. Like all like there's it can get into this weird stuff, okay? And some it may or may not be directly that. Everything that brought up, destroy and uncreate it, right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all natural choice, boys, poets, creases, base, and beyond. So anywhere you're trying to prove anything to your detriment, good or bad, right or wrong, positive or negative, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Some of you won't get that. Anywhere you're trying to prove anything to your detriment, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all natural choice, boys, poets, creases, bases, and beyonds. Anywhere you're trying to prove anything to your detriment, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all natural choice, boys, poets, creases, bases, and beyonds. So, uh, if I'm trying to prove energy healing is working by getting a specific result and it has to go this way, or XYZ is the belief, it's not what's true, then I'm not listening to what the energy healing session requires. I'm not necessarily listening to my divine guidance or intuition on it. I'm trying to get a certain outcome, which might not be the best outcome at all costs. Does that make sense? Sarah says, you're on fire today, Brandon. Angel fire. Ha 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 ha. I love that. Loving this session so much. Thank you. You're welcome. And thank you for letting me know. How's it getting better than this? How's it getting better than my art? Because if you are trying to, okay, you get it though. Like, I might be trying to force a result that's not the best outcome, or I'm not seeing what the session requires. So everything that brought up, pocket pod, pocket pod, pocket pod, because like all this stuff is coming up with you guys as I keep talking about it. Like heavy, solid stuff, pocket pod. Um, so sorry, what's up? Like you might be trying to, an example for someone might be trying to prove their life story of a money struggle by recreating the money struggle to prove that it's real or to prove they have this issue. And maybe they're even doing that so like because their best friend has that issue and then they can connect with their best friend on that same issue and they can maintain that friendship and they're afraid of losing it. Like there's a lot of different stuff that can tie into it. So everything that brought up, puck and pod. So everywhere you're trying to prove something to your detriment, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 100 choice boys, poets, creases, bases, and beyonce. And what can you do instead of proving? Knowing, following your intuition, following your awareness, following your divine guidance. Okay. Because then you don't have to prove anything. You already know. You know what I'm saying? Um, so another thing could be like if someone had to prove they were a powerful healer, and maybe they had someone, let's say it's an in-person session, someone's on the table in front of them, the massage table or whatever, the energy healing table. And this person's facilitating needs to prove they're a powerful healer, but the person receiving the session has an issue. They are not ready to change. They are really not ready to let go of it. The person who's trying to prove they're a powerful healer, are they going to realize and recognize and get that intuition that they're not ready to change it and focus on what the person is ready to change and what the session is asking for and like what that person's soul is asking for and what they're being finally guided to do? Or are they going to start to take this kind of egoic approach where like, no, I have to shift this issue to prove I'm a powerful healer, to prove I'm worth the money, to prove that's one, prove I'm worth the money. If you're a healer, prove XYZ, prove I'm not a fool to my mom for doing this work instead of getting an office job, prove blah, 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 prove spirituality works. Holy heck, like the well can run deep, it seems, with this. So everything that brought up, destroy and uncreate it, right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all non choice, boys, poets, crazy spaces, and beyonds. So anywhere you're trying to prove anything, good or bad, right or wrong, will you please destroy and uncreate it, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 100 choice, boys, poets, crazy spaces, and beyonds. And will you please listen to your intuition instead? Whether that shows up as channeling your higher guides or the angels or source, or that shows up as energy awareness, or that shows up as clairvoyance, or that shows up as claircognizance. There's no wrong way for it to show up. Start with where you're at, grow it from there if you'd like to grow it, and ask for more of it. Okay, here's a tool, here's a trick. Talking about it's not a trick, it's a tool. It's something, okay? Anytime you have an intuitive experience and you'd like more of it, what if you asked for it to exponentialize and increase? So let's say I had this really cool claircognizant knowing and it showed up in this really cool way. I'm like, whoa, what will it take for that to exponentialize and increase? And what will it take for me to have more of that? Everything that doesn't allow that, fucking pod. You're allowed to ask for more. Or like, let's say I have a really cool channel, or you know, I'm saying me, but I also mean, let's say you. But let's say I have a really cool channeled experience and I'm like, wow, that was really different and next level compared to where I was yesterday and blah, 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 blah. What will it take for that to exponentialize and increase? And what will it take for me to have more of that? How's it get any better than that? Everything doesn't allow that, puck and pod. And you can do that with like any good is maybe not the best word, but anything you'd like more of, okay? Like if you have like a really awesome like moment of true peace and clarity and lightness and space, you're like, wow, like what will it take for this to exponentialize and increase and show up more? I'm having more of this universe. Thank you. How's it getting better than this? And then I'll tell you this. I think I say this a lot. I think it could be a good reminder because some people forget. You can also ask if there's something you'd rather change. Like, okay, what are the infinite possibilities of this thing changing? And how does it get any better than this? Because, like, how does it get any better than this? Whether it's good or bad, the universe is going to make it better. So, uh, you know, if you have a moment where something heavy shows up, or what's a good example here? Yeah, if you have a moment where something heavy shows up or you'd like to change something, anything, try it. Just, it doesn't hurt to ask, like, what are the infinite possibilities of this changing and how does it get any better than this? And if you'd like anything that doesn't allow that, puck and pod. These energy sessions really are the best. Thank you, Lo. I appreciate the acknowledgement. How's it get any better than that? What will it take? What will it take for that to exponentialize and increase? And how does it get any better than that? And what will it take for more of that to show up? And everything that doesn't allow that, puck and pod. And you guys can do that for your work too. If you do anything, whatever you do, arts, whatever, poetry, writing, it doesn't hurt to ask. If I were to give you some secret sauce today, well, not give, talking about. If I were to gift you an idea that you could use as a secret sauce in your life, it would be to ask for anything on any level, anything, energetic, physical, uh, anything. What I mean by that is like you facilitate a really potent energy healing session And your client is like, wow, that was really potent. You're like, what will it take for more of this to show up? What will it take? Well, and it can, I'm going to tell you this, guys. Okay. This is another like secret recipe thing that I'm just giving to you or gifting to you rather than giving. Talk about the gift. Gifting and giving, there's like a different energetic thing to it that we could talk about. That maybe I'll dig into it in a second here. So, is like asking for things to be like optimal when you ask for things, like just right and optimal. So, if you're facility, what's a good example here for this? Anything, I guess. You're like, what will it take for this session to be just right and optimal for the people I'm facilitating it for? Okay. Uh, Ask and you will receive. This is why I mean, like, ask for anything, because the more you start asking for things and receiving them and realizing how this works, and then you realize you can ask for anything and receive anything, then you're kind of off to the races and you're living, okay? Because all of a sudden, like the world is your oyster, the world's at your fingertips. And like, sure, there might be things where it's like your life has to rearrange a little bit for certain things to come in. Don't limit it. Don't. Here's another thing we could talk about is deciding what it takes for something to show up that it doesn't actually take. That kind of goes back to living your reality versus someone else's. So it's like, let's say someone's asking for a lot of success and they have bought someone else's reality or decided or believe like, oh, it's going to take a lot of hard work. Oh, it's going to have to look like this specific type of business. Oh, it's going to have to look this specific. Like, notice how limited and heavy and constricted it starts to get when I say those things, POC and pod. So, regarding anything you're asking for, everything you've decided it's going to take for it to show up or believe it's going to take for it to show up that it doesn't actually truly take. Will you destroy and uncreate it, please? In anywhere you bought that, right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 100 choice boys, poets, creations, bases, and beyonds. Because like you might wish to open a healing practice, for example. Not all of you, but just for it as an example, excuse me, as an example. And you decide all these different things about what it has to look like, what it's going to take, how it's going to be hard to make money, what it's going to take for you to make money, what the location has to be, blah, 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 blah. And like, again, notice how it gets really heavy if you're tracking the energies. It gets heavy, it gets like limited, it gets constricted a bit. Maybe when I'm saying these things, it gets like solid because it's like, it's not actually true, those things. They're just things like you've decided have to be, or you've bought or believe have to be that don't. So everything that is, we destroy and create it, please. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 100 choice, boys, poets, creators, bases, and beyonds. Because if you just let go of all the beliefs, all the points of view, everything everyone else says, everything everyone else thinks, everything everyone else puts out there, anything all the gurus and business gurus put out there, what it's going to take for you to have XYZ. Okay, just just get the energy of you let go of all of it right now because you can do that. And just like notice how much space and light and the angels start singing, ah, like the space and lightness opens up. And like the world is your oyster. You can have anything. Notice how much lighter that is, how much more space you have. Okay. That's more your true reality. That's more along that lines. Okay. That or greater. And maybe that applies to more areas. It's just kind of like it's again, it goes back to the same thing we were talking about with like if you get to the place where you know what's true and go are more open to receiving and having like the universe is always on my side, the universe is always working for me, the universe is always working with me, and everything that doesn't allow that to show up, pock and pod, that shows up more when you have the limiting beliefs in place of like, oh, it's going to take this. And if I'd like X amount of money per year, it's going to have to be this business. And again, everything that notice the heaviness, the constriction, the solidity that shows up. That's not your reality. That's someone else's decision or belief to destroy and create it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, 100 shorts, ways, post, crazy bases, beyonds. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, 100 shorts, ways, post, crazy bases, beyonds. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, 100 shorts, ways, post, crazy bases, beyonds. One more time. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, 100 shorts, ways, post, crazy bases, beyonds. Okay. I haven't really well, the Valeyu symbols energies have been showing up in the four angelic fires and source fires energies I've been running. I haven't run as many today, which is interesting. That's okay though. Verbally at least. So how's it getting better than this? This session today has really been about getting to lightness and stop shooting yourself in the foot. Because you are the one who creates your reality. And for some people, they might find that confronting. At the same time, not all of you, I know not all of you. And at the same time, like when you start to own your power like that and like acknowledge, look at how it's true for you, or at least ask, like, is that true for me? Or I wonder if that's true. Or I wonder what, depending on where you're at with this, because some of you might already intuitively gotten like, yeah, that's true. Like the second I said it, the first time I ever said it. So great. For some of the other ones though, it's kind of like when you start to own your power. Sorry, I know my hands are like, it doesn't matter. The energies are still flowing where are for the highest good for them to go and flowing where they're higher, are for the highest good for them to flow. And I know I have like my hand in front of the mic on the left, so they've been a little bit like that, and that's okay. So when you start to kind of acknowledge that and own it, you're way more in your power and you can start to change anything because you realize and acknowledge you have something to do with everything that's showing up, something to do. And you can start to investigate, like, okay, what underlying point of view do I have that's creating this? Pog and pod. Or oof, or do I have a belief that's creating this? Pog and pod. Or like um everything I aligned and agreed with or resisted and reacted to that allows this to exist, POC and pod. Because it's like I'm borrowing from Access, though it's light for me. Okay, like you start to create realities when you align and agree with or resist and react to things. And usually when you're resisting and reacting to something, you've already aligned and agreed with a different reality that causes you to resist and react to something else someone else says. And like the one of the antidotes, I guess, is it's another Access consciousness tool, interesting point of view. The book The Gift of Allowance by Gary Douglas goes really deep into it, and I highly recommend it if that is light for you to get that book or your intuition says yes, because it's like it's also in the book Being Who Changed in the World. There's also YouTube videos. Dr. Dane here has put out. If you just look up Dane here, Access Consciousness, interesting point of view, something will probably pop up on YouTube, or maybe or interesting point of view, Access Dane here, see what pops up, and you kind of just like to any like thing that shows up, like something someone else says, something you notice you have a point of view on, like interesting point of view, I have this point of view, and it gets lighter. Interesting point of view, I have this point of view, it gets lighter. And to that new lighter energy, interesting point of view, I have this point of view, it gets lighter. Interesting point, and you might notice it shifting while I'm saying this too. Interesting point of view, I have this point of view, it gets lighter. And that's a way to get out of like aligning and agreeing and resisting and reacting to, in addition to pock and potting or any other energetic tools or choices you have to get out of it that might not be Access consciousness, because Access consciousness is not the only thing that works. Of course, there's a lot of great stuff out there. Access, source fives, Valeyu, Reiki, channeling, or other stuff, do what works for you, please, and follow your intuition because it's your journey, it's your life, and like you're the one who has to live with the results of what you're choosing. So, um, you know, that's why I highly recommend you hone in your intuition and then trust your intuition. Or both at the same time or whatever is for the highest good with all that for you. At least hone it in and then trust it, probably. Whatever that looks like for you, whether you start learning Access and you're like light versus heavy, what's light is true, what's heavy is a lie, choosing what's light for you and then not choosing what's heavier for you, because you can perceive what your choices will create in the future they create. So I've already talked about this, but if it's light for you and you go to choose it, you're like, cool, it's going to create a lighter future. If it's, or the question, what will my life be like in 5 years if I choose this? What will my life be like in 5 years if I don't? You can perceive the energy of what it will create. Or it's channeling, because like you can also your guides might be like, wait, don't, don't get an oil change at this place, get an oil change at that place. And you're like, why? And it's like, because the first one's going to rip you off, or the first one's going to mess up your car, the first one's going to, whatever. There's going to be a long line, whatever. Could be big, could be small, whatever. Both things work, and you can have both. It's not one or the other. And that's another thing we get into is like, how many of you are doing either or realities when it's not either or, it's and. So it's like, what's for that for me to get into here? Like some people might have something where they're like, oh, I can either be a writer or I can be a musician. And they'll think they can't do both, or they think they can't do both well, but all of that is a lie. So anywhere you're doing, I'm being redirected here. Anywhere you're doing either or to your detriment in a way that's someone else's reality and that's not yours, And in a way that's not totally true for you as a being, will you please rescind, revoke, recant, reclaim, renounce, denounce, destroy, and uncreate, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, bad and all 100 choice points, poetry, spaces, and beyonds. Okay, well, that's all I desired to get to this for this session here. So give me 1 second. I'm going to close it out now, I guess. Never mind. I'm going to set some closing intentions. Then maybe I'll talk a little bit more, channel a little bit more. Then we'll part ways for the day. So, okay. They're having me do this out loud. So, true angels of the true highest light, true highest and infinite source, please, maybe this is unnecessary to ask, watch over this session for the highest good, past, present, future, outside of time, and ensure it's fully for the highest good and it contributes to the recipients in whatever ways would be for the highest good. Please divinely protect me in this session if required, if for the highest good, and please ensure it's potent and effective for the highest good. Thank you so much. So, all right, they're telling me to do this out loud. Any energetic connections not for the highest good to continue between you guys and me, please be severed now. Thank you so much. Ooh, yay. And regarding any energetic cords that are for the highest good to be severed, I'm going to run some Valeyu costs. So, Valeyu for the highest good. Festu, 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 festu. Ooh, festu, 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 festu. Wow. Ow. Vastu, 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 vastu. Vastu, 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 vastu. Valeyu, Valeyu. Valeyu, 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 and Archangel Michael finished the work. That's good. Thank you so much. Ooh, 1 second. Stuff is shifting. Okay, so thanks for being here. Catherine Bates says, great sesh. Great. How's it getting better? Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate you. You're so welcome. Appreciate you guys being here. Fantastic session. Exactly what I needed without even knowing it. Perfect. Well, yeah, how's it getting better than that? You're always spot on. How's it getting better than that? Always fun to get a smack in the face. How's it getting better than that? And yes, you're on fire. Thank you so much, Brandon. Thank you, Tina. How's it getting any better than that? And like these are designed to like I'm following my channeling and intuition with how I facilitate these to like regarding and whatever you guys are bringing to the session, like where you guys are at, is a way I could say it. So it's like I'm not just doing this willy-nilly. It's just like what's going on, what's for the highest good for me to facilitate regarding what's going on. So that's part of what I mean when I say I'm like divinely and intuitively guided through this. And if I said something that kind of just limited it or made it not as great as it could be, Pokemon, Pokemon, Pokemon. Got so many tinglies. Thanks. You're welcome. You're welcome, Sarah. These energies, I appreciate you and all you do. These energy sessions resonate every time I start. You're so welcome, Lo. I so appreciate it. Well, I'm going to be doing more of these. So again, most of you here live, I'm pretty sure I've seen you, which I love it when you guys are here, repeatedly or over and over again, because that means you're getting more and more out of it every time I facilitate. So awesome. How's it get any better? Anyone new here or anyone who's watching, if you'd like more energy healing sessions like this, one, sign up for the newsletter, because you could just follow on YouTube as well. Sign up for the newsletter because I'm going to be doing like one of these for free every month. I think they're going to be energy healing sessions. It may or may not switch up in the future to channeled, but I think it's going to be energy healing. I also have more in my online store, brandonhbloom.com/store, and in the Let's Go Higher membership. So that is also in my online store. So brandonhbloom.com, you can find all that stuff there. And I'm going to tell you exactly what's going on with the membership as well. So what's going on is in a month, in October, the price is going up on the gold level. Okay. And that's just something I've been getting to do intuitively. I could take a long time talking about all the different things that showed up intuitively and blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to take too long on it though. I'm just going to let you know it's happening. So included in that, channeling night, which is like a full channel mode session and like channeled messages and access clearings usually as well. That it's usually like an hour and a half and 2 hours long once a month. And you get all the replays and stuff in the membership to stream. Energy healing night, which is similar to this, like facilitate an energy healing session as I'm divinely and intuitively guided. and like facilitate the energy healing, run clearings and all that. And that's you get all the replays. And then there's channel messages in the month ahead currently. And then there's a Q and channel day live with more channel messages and things we go through that people submit questions for. So I'm going to be launching. So if you sign up now, it's $28 a month. Okay. It's going up to 40 in October. I'm launching a silver level in October as well. That's at the lower price. That's just going to be energy healing night and channeling night. Okay. And you get those replays. And then I might launch another tier beneath that. That's just like channeling night or something. So you're going to have different options. I mean, now you could just sign up now and you'll get the better price. Or there's going to be different options if you're watching this in the future to kind of get on the, if you like these sessions, kind of get involved with more of them and receive more through the membership or online store or whatever you choose. Okay. Or if you don't have the money yet, because I'd rather not project and put on you, oh, you don't have the money, you're poor, you're never going to have the money. Because that's not true. You could have the money tomorrow. You could get a different job tomorrow or something happens. So that's going on. Okay. But if you'd like to go further with my work, that's one way to do it. And then I also have a bunch of other offerings on my website as far as channeled intuitive readings and channeled intuitive coaching as well. I'll let you look if you'd like. Lo says it's beyond worth the money for those thinking about joining. Thank you, Lo. I appreciate the shout out for sure. So that's what's going on. That's the advertisement for it. Sorry, that's not what they wanted me to say. That's a further offering if you'd like to go further. Okay. And you don't have to. It's your choice, though it's there if you'd like to. So that's all I'm going to say today. I so appreciate you guys being here. I so appreciate getting to facilitate this session. I really hope this contributed to you getting to lighter, to shifts and changes that would be for your highest good now. And, going forward, of course, because this is going to be, these sessions are like, they tend to be long haul. Like, yeah, they work immediately. You might feel better right away. Awesome. They also kind of work, or don't kind of, they also work over time. And like they'll kind of percolate in your world, and like the clearings will percolate and work over time. The things I channeled through might kind of start to shine through the cracks of reality a little bit for you, or I'd say your reality, but that gets a little confusing because it's more just like, you get it though. Starts to shine through the cracks and change things for the highest good. And you might start choosing different things that are lighter for you, or whatever. Whatever you got from this, hope it was for the highest good. Of course, like that's always my ask, and I'd be really surprised if it wasn't. I'm getting it was, but I really hope this contributed to you in your world and life and future being greater, because you and your life and your future getting greater makes the world greater too, because you are part of the world. So never dull your shine or light for anyone. Fly high for all to see and be the example. And what if that doing that is the example, and maybe it's even the energy, and maybe it's even the space that sets other people free or can contribute to that at least, and creates a greater world for all of us. So, okay, well, appreciate you guys. How's it getting better than this? And I will see you guys in the future. Okay, take care.